Hi everyone, so today I wanted to make a video about how you can fill your journals. This is my current journal right now, and I am currently, how many pages? 50 on page 54 in this book, and there are 200 pages in a composition book, and I started this is day 6 of me writing in here, so clearly I'm writing a lot of things. So, some tips for what you can write in here. Not in here, but in your journal. So my first tip would be to decorate the pages. Put stickers on them, which is what I'm doing right now. I'll show you like a pre-decorated page. You know, just some stickers. It just kind of makes you like, wow, cute, I want to write. You have to want to write before you can say, what am I going to write? Wanting to write is the first step in the process. Now, another thing that you can do to decorate your pages to motivate you to write, I've done this in the past, but I'm not doing it with this one, is to cut out magazine clippings and put them on random pages in here. And sometimes there's this sort of ironic thing where the picture will match what's going on in your life, and that's always really cool when that happens. So that will motivate you to write, and you'll want to write. Now you're like, okay, I want to write. What do I write? Because there's always something to write about when you want to write. There's always something you can write about. Even if it's stream of consciousness, I don't know what to write, I don't know what to sorry, I still have a cough. I talked about it in my last video. I'm so sorry. So, anyway, moving on. So, what can I write? Write about your day. But don't just write about your day. Don't just recount everything that happened. Write about the little things that happened, like a new cup of coffee you had, or the fact that it was a rainy day, or a snowy day, or that you had a moment earlier in the day where you talked to your mom about this, and this, and it was very special to you. Don't just recount, I talked to my mom, I went to work, I went to bed. Talk about those things. Or, you can talk about what you had for breakfast, and you can, you could just say, I had pancakes for breakfast, but you can say, they were really, really good. I have this memory associated with pancakes, and give it a little bit more depth, and that'll turn your journal into such a magical place. A way that I kind of remember those small little things, because usually you forget them within a couple of minutes. I have a note on my phone where I can type in little things that I may forget throughout the day that I want to write about later. And that has helped me a lot with remembering little things to write about. Something else I can recommend to write about. Write about current events, especially right now in the world that we're in. It is super helpful to be able to know what our world is like right now. You're gonna read back later and just be like, I remember that. Or historians will find your journals and they'll be like, write that down. Another thing you can do is print out articles and such from the internet. This is something you can do, and I find it to be incredibly helpful if I don't want to write down an entire, thing that happens. I just kind of print it out, and I'll tape or glue or whatever into my journal the article, and it really adds some clarity, if that makes sense. Especially if I don't want to write like 500 pages just talking about one event, I can just print it out. Or you can write it out if you don't have a printer, or an accessible printer, but printing stuff out, or putting things in here from the newspaper, things like that will make your journal a lot more like a time capsule, if that makes sense. Speaking of time capsules, when I say talk about current events, talk about them. Talk about your feelings about them. This will make your journal so much richer, and when you look back at it, you're going to be like, wow. Like in our current situation, maybe write infection rates. Write about how you feel about it. Things like that. Another thing that you could do in your journals is answer questionnaires about you, about the world right now, about your family, your pets, your friends. Do all of those things, because when you look back at it, you're going to be like, wow, this is like me in that moment in questions and answers, if that makes sense. It's very interesting to look back. And I actually have a set of questions that I redo every so often. I don't have a set amount of time that I wait in between, but I recommend doing something like that, to where you can look back and look at your answers to the questions and compare them to different time periods. And they actually make books for this. They're like Q&A a day is what they're called, and I totally recommend getting one of those if you want to. But in your journal, you can go so much more in depth, because in those books, there's usually only like a little spot for your text like that big. I recommend having a journal for the more in-depth things. There's plenty of Q&As you can find online. Talk about your dreams. Talk about your goals. That's something also very important for me in my journaling practice. I write about what I want to do for the future, or where I want to be in the future. And, sometimes you'll look back at it later and literally cringe at yourself and be like, why did I want to do that? And sometimes you'll look back and you'll be like, wow, I did that. And that's always a really good thing to see, when you look back and you realize that you were successful. And that's one of my favorite things about journaling, is that I see progression in myself. And that's really awesome to see in anybody's journals. To-do lists. I know that this is probably something that most people would want to put in a bullet journal, but I put it in any of my journals because I can't keep a bullet journal for the life of me. I literally can't. So to-do lists, put that in here. Lists in general. If you want to list out your Christmas list in your journal, do it. What I've also done in the past is, if I've sent a letter to someone and I want to remember the letter I sent to them, I will copy the letter, or I'll take a picture of the letter and print it out and put it in here, because I want to remember stuff like that. Another thing is, I recommend books like this if you are someone who does pen paling, because you can put other people's letters in your notebooks, and that always is nice to look back on, and being able to keep your pen pal letters in a safe place. And another thing is, just be creative. You can draw in here. You can scribble if you're angry. You can freaking do whatever when you're angry. You can write huge letters throughout a whole journal if you want to, and fill one in one day, if that's what you want to do. You can do that, and it is perfectly fine, because it's your journal. But I've literally had an entire page just filled with, I'm not gonna say it, the F word just over and over again in like huge angry letters, and the next page I scribbled all over it. Like, it's perfectly okay to do something like that because it's your journal, this is your space, and if it makes you feel better, then you should do it. So that's what I have to say about how to fill your journal. If you want to see a part 2 to this, I can try to come up with some more things and you can let me know down below. I also had a question for you guys. Someone requested that I do a journal collection video, and I normally do my journal collection videos at the start of every year. So would you guys rather me do a journal collection video now? Would you rather me wait, or would you rather me do one now and one at the new year? Let me know. Or if you just want to see a blank journal collection or just a used journal collection, let me know down in the comments, because I'm really curious to see what you guys would like to see. Or if you have any other video suggestions, be sure to leave it down below, because I'll definitely make those. Alright guys, I love you, and I'll see you guys next time.